those numbers are a small fraction of the more than 7.7 million infections in the U.S. since the pandemic began. Despite that, President Donald Trump, who has COVID-19, addressed another large crowd on the White House lawn today. As Jennifer Johnson reports, he's continuing to downplay his own illness and the risk of the virus.
Desperate to recharge his campaign, U.S. President Donald Trump hosted hundreds of supporters at the White House just days after being hospitalized for COVID-19. Some of the attendees were invited by the Blexit Group, a campaign urging Black Americans to leave the Democratic Party. The president spoke from an upstairs balcony, the spot where he took off his mask after returning from Walter Reed National Military Medical Center Monday night.
Our nation's going to defeat this terrible China virus, as we call it. And we're producing powerful therapies and drugs, and we're healing the sick.
The outdoor gathering, with few physically distancing, took place exactly 2 weeks after the Supreme Court nomination ceremony for Judge Amy Coney Barrett. Several people who attended that later tested positive for COVID-19, including the president and first lady.
We had a super spreader event in the White House, and it was in a situation where people were crowded together and were not wearing masks.
The president pushed for Saturday's event while still skirting the question of whether he has now tested negative for the virus.
But I've been retested, and I know I'm at either the bottom of the scale or free. It's really at a level now that's been great to see it disappear.
The president continues to downplay the threat of COVID-19 as the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports new cases have hit a 2-month high, with 10 states reporting record increases. On the campaign trail, Democratic candidate Joe Biden continues to blast the president for what he calls reckless actions.
I just read that the CDC was going to require masks on public transportation. 40,000 people a day are coming down with coronavirus, and the White House blocked it. What is the matter with this guy?
The president's campaign says it was not involved in planning this event, and several inside the White House were reportedly against it. But the president is not backing down in his battle to get reelected. A major rally is scheduled Monday night in Florida. Campaign officials say attendees will have their temperatures checked and encouraged to wear masks. Jennifer Johnson, Global News, Washington.
People living along the Louisiana coast are assessing the damage from Delta. It blew ashore as a Category 2 storm last night before weakening as it moved further inland. There weren't any deaths blamed on the storm, but it brought flooding to some areas, ripped up trees, and downed power lines. It knocked out electricity to about 25% of the state's power customers. The same area of Louisiana was already recovering from the impact of the much more powerful Hurricane Laura, which struck 6 weeks ago.
It affects you physically, mentally, psychologically, and then to turn around 6 weeks later and experience it again is pretty tough.
Delta was the 10th named storm to hit the mainland U.S. this hurricane season. That's a new record. Hurricane season doesn't officially end until November 30th.